The Trump administration's chemtrails task force is moving at lightning speed, shrugging off the mainstream's mockery and the silence of captured institutions. In just weeks, they've uncovered a series of bombshells. Rogue chemtrails operations, pumping chemicals into our air, soil and water, are being run out of multiple government agencies, including the Pentagon's darkest corner, DARPA. That's right. The same shadowy deep state department behind the COVID vaccine is now tied to this assault on our skies. And the source? None other than HHS Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who has revealed that these chemtrails aren't just experiments gone wrong, they're part of a deliberate plan for massive depopulation, targeting tens of millions of lives. He's not stopping there. Kennedy has revealed that the chemtrails task force is so overwhelmed with evidence of wrongdoing, they're preparing to appoint a chemtrail czar to focus solely on holding the culprits accountable. The deep state players behind this? They're not just faceless suits, they're power brokers, names you know, who thought their secrets were safe. But the task force is closing in. Losing their jobs is the least of their worries, because justice is coming and it's going to be unrelenting. Before we dive in, join the TPV free speech community over on Soju. Soju is a digital space where ideas and information can take place without any annoying algorithms or restrictive rules getting in the way of free expression. For years, they gaslit us. They called us conspiracy theorists and laughed at us on TV. But the gaslighting doesn't work anymore. The veil is lifting. Thanks to people like yourself, the movement has become too big to ignore. Want to see the evidence of this?
And my biggest concern is the stratospheric aerosol injections that are continuously peppered on us every day. Bromium, aluminum, strontium, it's sprayed in our skies all day long. And I know you've talked to Dane Wigington about this. He seems to be one of the experts in the field.
Is there a question?
Yes. How do we stop it?
There was a time not so long ago when a woman like this would have been mocked, dismissed with a smirk by a smug TV host, and laughed at by an audience too blind or scared to question the official narrative. But the tide is turning. This time, the audience listened, respectfully, because more and more people are waking up to what's happening in the skies above their heads. And when she asked her question, she didn't get a deflection or a scripted line, she got a straight answer from none other than HHS Secretary himself, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. And what he said was nothing short of a bombshell.
That is not happening in my agency. You know, we don't do that. It's done, we think, by DARPA. And a lot of it now is coming out of the jet fuel.
Yes,
so,
sir.
you know, those materials are put in jet fuel. I'm going to do everything in my power to stop it.
One day historians will talk about this appearance from Dr. Phil as a key moment in the history of the US. RFK Jr. just confirmed that DARPA, the same military-industrial deep state psychopaths responsible for developing the mRNA vaccine 10 years before the pandemic, are now spraying us with toxic cocktails of deadly chemicals from 15,000 feet. This is a huge revelation, and there's no going back from this. RFK Jr. also confirmed what his former running mate Nicole Shanahan had previously stated. The Trump administration has a clandestine team, the Chemtrails Task Force, dedicated to ending this crime against humanity. And the next step is bringing in a chemtrails czar to hold these criminals accountable.
We're bringing on somebody who's going to think only about that, find out who's doing it, and holding them accountable.
This isn't just talk. The task force is already at work, bringing together insiders from the FAA, the military, and even the private sector. They're analysing flight data, cross-referencing intel, and using AI to comb through the evidence shared on social media. But here's the catch. You are a key part of this operation. Every piece of footage you upload to social media is a vital piece of the puzzle. It's not just about showing the world what's happening, it's feeding the task force with real-time actionable intel. This isn't just about collecting evidence, it's about overwhelming the system with the truth, forcing the truth to emerge until they can no longer hide. So keep recording and keep uploading videos beneath this one. You're directly helping the task force's machine learning AI systems connect the dots and uncover the truth behind the skies we've all been forced to endure. We've already made major breakthroughs. And while the trolls, limited hangouts and controlled opposition keep trying to distract and mislead with half-truths and deflections, don't fall for it. Stay focused. You're not crazy and you're not alone. We're uncovering the full picture piece by piece, and it's thanks to people like you who refuse to be silenced. Our movement has forced the US government to investigate its own dark recesses. And the UK government has been forced to admit it's engaging in dangerous geoengineering activities. This is no longer a theory, it's confirmed. The new UK government, following a secretive meeting with Bill Gates, has quietly announced plans to dim the sun by spraying reflective particles into the sky. No debate, no vote, no public consent. What was once dismissed as a conspiracy is now unfolding in plain sight. And for those who've been paying attention, the writing has been in the sky for years.
All morning.
Since the UK government announced their plans, we're already seeing the beginning of the fallout. Bees, absolutely essential to life on Earth, are dying off in staggering numbers. And now birds are dropping from the sky by the millions across the United States. But don't worry, they tell us, nothing to see here, folks. They're counting on the public, reacting just like they did during the COVID playbook, scared, obedient, and unquestioning. And just when you thought they couldn't get any darker, RFK has confirmed that weather patterns, mass formation psychosis, and even social unrest might not be as natural as we're led to believe. And that DARPA, the same agency spraying the skies with deadly toxins, also played a leading role in poisoning billions of people around the world during the pandemic. And they're not finished with the depopulation agenda yet. Exactly as we have been saying for years. You're not crazy, you're awake. The silver lining to the spraying of silver iodide and other toxins into our skies is this: millions more people are waking up. Even those who once dismissed chemtrails as nothing more than a tinfoil hat conspiracy are starting to question what's really going on above their heads.
Alright, so this is happening and you need to know about it. When I first saw this story, I thought it was a joke, but it turns out the very same government that can't fill potholes, that can't run trains on time, that has a failing healthcare service, where no one seems to be able to get a doctor's appointment, with an economy on its knees, that very same government believes that it's now qualified enough to dim the sun. Now, I've always pushed aside geoengineering and chemtrails in the conspiracy loony bin, but to hear that the UK government has greenlit this and is going ahead in the next few weeks with tens of millions of taxpayer pounds going into it, I sat up and started paying attention. Turns out they want to spray these particulates into the sky to make clouds brighter to reflect sunlight back out to space. Now, as far as I knew, living in the UK basically all my life, the entire UK is already filled with cloud almost all the year anyway. And the idea that a country this big in Northern Europe, by spraying its skies with who knows what, is going to affect the global climate and save us all is sheer lunacy. And you know what's crazy about it? When you limit the sun's ability to have that light reach the ground, you're affecting plants' ability to absorb carbon naturally with those crazy things called trees and plants through photosynthesis. And so what you'll see happen through this loony government program is that the ability of trees to grow will be stunted, the ability for crop yields to grow will decrease, and what you'll find across the board is that crop yields will lead to less food, less security for its country, less food all around for other animals. And this is all, to me, just a Ponzi scheme for these people to get rich off of, where these scientists or this body or this organization is able to access tons of money from UK grant money to combat climate change. It's an absolute joke. I'd prefer that to be spent planting trees and reforesting kelp forests and seagrasses and creating marine protected areas that actually do good.
But that would be far too sensible for the global elite to accept. We all know Bill Gates, the same man behind the plan to dim the sun, has an almost obsessive hatred of trees, plants, and anything that thrives in sunlight.
Bill Gates and other investors are betting Kodama Systems can reduce carbon dioxide in the air by chopping down and burying trees, which has raised $6.6 million in seed funding from Bill Gates' Breakthrough Energy and others. Scientists say burying trees can reduce global warming as well. I don't know where they're finding these scientists, by the way.
Are you offsetting your own personal emissions
Yes.
with that? And can you give us a sense of the scale of that?
It's like 10 million a year.
Okay. And just
It's
to be
a variety of things, buying electric heat pumps for low-income housing where they get the benefits of lower monthly bills, and I take the carbon credits for those things. There's solar panels. There's a huge variety of things. I don't use some of the less proven approaches.
Such as?
I don't plant trees.
There's a lot of people who are very enamored with trees. We've got trees on this stage. Some people would even say that if you just planted enough trees, it could take care of the climate issue altogether.
And that's complete nonsense.
Okay.
I mean, are we the science people or are we the idiots? Which one do we want to be?
Blocking the sun, chopping down trees and spraying chemtrails over population centres is just a piece of a much larger agenda. An agenda that's been in the works for decades. We're talking about the same powerful forces that orchestrated the development of the mRNA vaccine long before Moderna or Pfizer ever got their hands on them. As RFK Jr. points out, the clot shots were not developed by heroic big pharma companies in record time to save humanity, as the mainstream media fairy tale would have you believe. They were a bioweapon developed by the NIH and military contractors at DARPA years before the pandemic, and then rolled out with military precision when the global elite gave the order.
Turns out that, the vaccines were developed not by Moderna and Pfizer. They were developed by NIH. They're owned, the patents are owned 50% by NIH. Nor were they manufactured by Pfizer or by Moderna. They were manufactured by military contractors. And basically, Pfizer and Moderna were paid to put their stamps on those vaccines as if they came from the pharmaceutical industry. But, that's not what they were doing. They were coming from, this was a military project from the beginning.
As Harmeet Dillon, the US Assistant Attorney General for Civil Rights Division, said this week, the COVID pandemic was a form of euthanasia rolled out by the global elites as part of their long-standing depopulation agenda.
The importance of this historical moment in time is how many of us who are on that side of the tyranny, like Jay Bhattacharya and many others, are now in the government, because we can never forget what happened, not just to, people in the medical profession who are seeing this stupid TikTok videos and this lionization of people doing their jobs, but every single American was affected by this. And I'll never forget it. It still irritates me to see people driving in cars here in DC wearing masks. There's an ongoing mental illness and hysteria in the United States.
Yes.
And some people, and I'm not trying to mock people, they're legitimately scared and scarred for life by the junk science that came out of the federal government and was eagerly seized upon by petty little bureaucrats everywhere, and especially our home state of California.
I'm not used to discussing medicine with attorneys, but I'm gonna go there because you used the word hysteria, and I was using it during COVID, going, I think we've become hysterical. Now I'm convinced it was a hysteria, but it continues. And as I look across the arc of that hysteria, it started before COVID. It just went to full bloom during COVID. What do you think that is? Do you have a theory of what? I mean, I've done a lot of reading about true believers and mass hysterias and mass movements and grievance societies, and it always goes bad. The Jacobins sort of invented it.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're the expert on mental health issues, but from my lay perspective, it is nascent and trending authoritarianism, and the sort of credentialing and lionization of experts in our culture. I'm a daughter of a doctor and granddaughter of two doctors, so I respect the medical profession, but people are fallible. But Dr. Fauci was elevated not just in this situation, but of course in the AIDS crisis as well, as an expert, and people died. Many people died unnecessarily. We had a form of euthanasia in our country during COVID with how we treated many elderly people and treated them as less valuable. And so that is what some people are addicted to, is they need God figures and they need people to believe in, and religion is absent from our life. And so those so-called medical experts became the religion of the state, and to our folly.
Here at The People's Voice, we expose the global elite's agenda to replace traditional religion with their own techno-communist ideology, positioning themselves as gods with the power to create and destroy the human race.
Developing even bigger powers than ever before. We are really acquiring divine powers of creation and destruction. We are really upgrading humans into gods. We are acquiring, for instance, the power to re-engineer life.
And that wasn't hyperbole or exaggeration. The truth about the chemtrails agenda and the revelation that it's being controlled by the same people working behind the scenes on the COVID pandemic and vaccine rollouts proves the world is still firmly in the grip of their diabolical plans. Here at The People's Voice, we're determined to continue exposing the crimes of the elites, but we need your help. Subscribe to the channel, spread this video far and wide, and join the People's Voice Locals community for exclusive and uncensored content. I hope to see you there. Today's video is brought to you by IP